So right when the game launched, I did a video going over 7 things you might not know in the finals, and it turns out there are so many more things that I didn't know either that I wanted to do a follow-up to that one. So today we're going over 10 more things you might not know you can do in the finals. Now the first one is definitely very useful, and this is the fact that you can actually underhand throw with L2, meaning you can be a little bit more accurate when it comes to throwing grenades and even stuff like the dome shield. Now speaking of the dome shield, this is really good for that specifically. As you can see in this clip here, if I try to actually throw the dome shield right on that finals logo, the big yellow logo on the ground, if I throw it, it kind of bounces off it, and as you can see, it's only actually covering half of that logo. Yet if I use the underhand throw, it's going to throw it pretty much right where I'm aiming, and this is super helpful for when you need to be a little bit more accurate, and especially when you are throwing it closer to you. Obviously, if you want to throw it further, you don't want to do the underhand throw, but it is definitely very helpful for those situations. Now you can obviously do this with the grenades as well, and a prime example of what I mean with this one is, let's just say in this window someone was actually camping in the corner and I wanted to throw a grenade at them. As you can see with the regular throw, it's going to kind of bounce off the wall and go into the far corner, and it won't actually deal any damage to them. Yet when I do use that underhand throw, it's going to throw it a lot softer, and it will actually get into the corner that I'm sort of aiming it at. So this is a very helpful tip, and you should definitely get into the habit of doing it whenever you can. Now the next one is very good when it comes to pretty much just increasing your traversal no matter where you are on the map, and this is the fact that you can actually vertically climb up the buildings using the windows, and you're pretty much going to act like Spider-Man. Now all you need to do is to jump into the window. You then want to look up, walk backwards and jump, and then instantly press your stick or the key back in the forward direction, and you will mantle into the next window. You can do this all the way up the building. It doesn't matter how many levels the building is. If there are windows all the way to the top, you can do this right to the very top, and as you can see, you can actually mantle over the top as well, getting onto the actual roof of the building too. So if you don't have a jump pad or a grapple, for example, and especially for the heavy class, because they are obviously lacking a bit when it comes to traversal, then this is going to be very handy for you guys, and it can obviously help kind of startle the enemies. They may not be expecting you to come from that direction. You're going to win a lot of unexpected gunfights doing this method. Now the next couple are also to do with traversal and just general movement, and this is the fact that you can actually use Goo to navigate the map a little bit easier. Now this is especially good with the light class. What you can actually do in areas where you otherwise can't get to a rooftop, or even just getting, you know, to a certain location that you can't reach without a jump pad or something like that, what you can actually do is just use your Goo grenades almost like building blocks, as if you are playing Minecraft or something. And so as you can see here, if you actually just throw them at the wall or really just any object, they will obviously release that Goo, and then at that point you can actually use that to jump from one Goo grenade onto the other one, and then obviously from the next one onto a rooftop or wherever you need to get, essentially. So this can be very handy. Now when it comes to the light class, you've obviously got the evasive dash as well. So if you do run the evasive dash, you can spread these out even further, and it means you can actually use the dash to get from one Goo grenade to the other one, and this is going to really allow for some pretty crazy traversal. So get in the hang of doing this if you do run those Goo grenades. They're obviously very good for blocking off entrances and stuff like that, but they actually can be used for more than just doing that. Now speaking of Goo, the next thing that we have is actually another one to do with the Goo, and this is the Heavy's Goo gun, in which you can actually create a bit of a Goo Tower. And I did just mention Minecraft. This is genuinely a throwback to Minecraft if you've ever played that game. All you need to do if you are using the Goo gun is actually just jump and aim at the ground, and then obviously shoot as you are off the ground. This will then place a blob of Goo, I guess you would call it, and then obviously you can just repeat that, and you will essentially just climb infinitely into the sky. You can then obviously use that to climb up the side of a building, and once again get onto the roof where enemies may not have expected you to actually do that. So this is very useful for the heavy class. Like I mentioned earlier, their traversal is clearly not as good as the light or the medium class, but this can definitely come in handy. Now before we go any further, if you guys are enjoying the video so far and it has helped you out, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. There are plenty more videos like this coming for the finals, so make sure you don't miss out. Now the next one we've got on the list here is once again to do with the movement, and this is actually to do with the jump pads. Now as you can see, if you actually just run along and use a jump pad, you can see where I've landed, and it is going to be pretty much the exact same every single time, provided you are just running headfirst at the jump pad and you are sprinting. Now what you guys may not have known though is that if you slide right before you actually hit that jump pad, you will go a fair amount further. As you can see on this next one, I've actually landed just a little bit further than I did on that first attempt. But something to keep in mind is that if you actually slide right as you are hitting it, that will send you the furthest, because as you can see in this third attempt, I've actually landed further along than I did did in that second attempt, even though I did slide. So you pretty much just want to make sure that you are timing the slide right as you are hitting that jump pad. It seems as though the closer you are to the jump pad as you are sliding, that is going to make it go the furthest. And this can be very, very helpful. It can often get you from one rooftop to another when, for example, if you didn't slide, you may not have actually made that jump. So be sure to get in the habit of doing this before you hit those jump pads. It is definitely going to help you getting a little bit further on. Now, the next thing to know that I actually did not know until someone did it to me in game is that throwing the cash out can actually deal a little bit of damage. Now, it's barely enough. You're not really very often anyway going to get kills with it or anything like that. But if you are running along carrying the cash out and you are trying to get to the objective and you do come across an enemy, something you can do is just throw it straight at them. Not only is it going to deal a little bit of damage, but it can actually throw them off guard just a little bit because it will kind of block their view and they're probably going to be thinking, what the hell has just happened? This guy's thrown the cash out at me, at which point they are almost a little bit stunned and you can obviously start shooting at them. And because of that little bit of damage that you've dealt, it may actually help you win at that gunfight. So if you are carrying this and you come across an enemy, don't, be a deer in headlights and just kind of drop it and start shooting. Be sure to try and throw it at them. That little bit of damage that you can deal with this may actually win you that gunfight. Now, the next one is very, very handy to know. This is going to save you a lot of time, and this is to do with the buttons that will sort of activate those lifts, or in some cases activate the little barriers around the map. Something that I didn't know is that if you actually shoot these, it will do the same as running up and pressing the button, which means you can obviously do it from a distance, and that is going to save you a lot of time, especially when it comes to those lifts around the map, even the drawbridges that there are. If you are running up to one of those, for example, you can obviously shoot it rather than running up and pressing it, and then by the time you've actually gotten there, the drawbridge, for example, will already be down and you can make your way across. And same goes for example, if there's enemies chasing you, you can actually cross it, and then rather than having to press the button, you can just run a little bit past it, shoot it, and then that will sort of cut those enemies off. So this is very, very handy to know, and like I said, it could actually save you in certain situations. Now, next on the list, we have one that I'm sure a lot of people do know already, but this is almost an extension of the ones that I've been seeing around the place in terms of videos and stuff on Reddit and on Twitter. And this is the fact that you can obviously put C4 and stuff on the barrels and throw them, but you can also do this with mines as well. As you guys can see, if I put some C4 on this explosive barrel and send it down range, then it is obviously going to be able to be blown up as it hits that enemy, and it can deal a hell of a lot of damage. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys knew that already, but what I actually didn't know initially is that you can also do this with mines, both the explosive mines as well as just the gas mines as well. And I'm pretty sure this will be the case for the pyro mines and even the glitch traps as well. As you can see, when I put a mine on it, it does still work the exact same. Now, the only difference is it does make the barrel a hell of a lot slower. I'm assuming they've done that for balancing reasons, because this is actually a little bit better than the C4 method in that it obviously will blow up by default when it gets close enough to that enemy, rather than you obviously need to time it when it is the C4 because it won't blow up on its own. So if you aren't running C4, you can still do this with the barrels. Like I said, it will be a little bit slower, but that being said, it can still be very deadly, and it can often result in a one-hit kill. Now, the next one is a little bit obscure, I'm not going to lie to you guys, but this is the fact that you can actually break buildings in this game, and not only with the explosives, which I'm sure you guys all knew already, but you can actually do it by literally just shooting at them as well. Now, this is obviously a very hard way to do this. It's going to take you a hell of a lot of time, as you can see in the clip in the background. Even in fast forward, this is taking quite some time to do. But if you and your teammates don't have any explosives, for example, and maybe there are no barrels left on the map and it is down to the final objective and you just really have to get into a building and they've got mines everywhere and it's just, perfectly set up for defending, then if you all three shoot at the same spot on the roof, for example, it can actually take that out quite a lot quicker than in this clip. And it is still very handy to know. Like I said, it's pretty obscure. I don't imagine this is really ever going to help anyone win a game, but you just never know. And obviously if it came down to do or die situation, that can actually help you out. So a pretty random one, but definitely helpful to know nonetheless. Now, last but not least, we have one that is to do with the zip lines in this game. And this is the fact that you can actually destroy the zip lines, not only just with explosives, which again, I'm sure everyone knew already, but you can actually just shoot these or even just melee them to remove those zip lines from the map. Now, this can be really handy for cutting off enemies once you've begun the cash out, for example. Oftentimes there will be locations for those cash outs where really the only ways to get there are by zip lines or by taking, a really annoying staircase or something like that. And obviously if you destroy those zip lines, it's going to leave the enemies with really only one way to get there. So you should definitely get in the habit of doing this. Obviously you want to make sure that you have planted it first yourself, otherwise your teammates aren't going to be able to get get there. But once you know that that area is kind of locked down, you've got the cash out planted, then definitely get in the habit of destroying those zip lines. It could honestly be the difference between winning and losing a game. But anyway, guys, those are 10 more things that you may not have known about the finals. I'm keen to hear how many of those you guys knew, so be sure to let me know down in the comment section. And if there's plenty more that I missed as well, be sure to let me know as well, because I can always do another follow-up to this one. There's so much in this game to cover, so be sure to let me know. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you all out there in the arena.